Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome to my birth video. I am so excited to share with you my birth story and all the little details of how I had my wonderful, beautiful baby boy just about a month ago on June 25th, 2026. And I still can't believe I'm a mom. It is just so surreal, and seeing him grow already in this first month has just been incredible, and lots of challenges, don't get me wrong, and sleepless nights, but it has just been a dream come true. So if you are excited to hear my birth story, I am not leaving out any details. I'm gonna be completely transparent, open, and if I've missed anything, you can ask me down in the comment section and I will include it in a future vlog of mom life. And I can't believe I'm part of the mom club and I'm so excited. So before we get into this video, please give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on my future vids, and the bell to notify you when they go live. So let's get into it. So I did include part 1 of my birth story on my Instagram, which I will leave here if you want to check it out, but I will just summarize it really quickly. And that is, number 1, my son just did not want to come out. It was 41 weeks and 2 days where he was due, like he was born. So basically at 41 weeks and 1 day, my doctor scheduled me in. So it's 10 days after my scheduled due date to get the Foley balloon inserted inside my cervix, just because I wasn't dilated, like nothing was going on. He was just very cozy in there. So we inserted that, and you saw like part of the process on my Instagram, so you can go check that out. But basically it was not painful at all to get that put in. I was thinking it was gonna be so uncomfortable and just the worst, because I've seen and heard so many different things, so I didn't know what to expect. The most uncomfortable process of the induction was them actually checking to see how dilated your cervix was, and just checking in your cervix in general. That was the most uncomfortable for me, and I do have a stronger pain tolerance, so that was just the most annoying part in my opinion. So anyways, they put the Foley balloon in, and it was 24 hours later. If it didn't create, natural birth, then the next morning I had to call in at the hospital and tell them, and then they'd tell me what time to come in, and then that's when they'd probably break my water and go into phase 2 of my induction. So that first day that I had that balloon inserted, they basically have it there. Essentially, if you don't know what this is, it's like a little balloon that they insert. They add some water or air. I can't remember now off the top of my head. And it just helps to like open your cervix and create some more dilation and just kind of get the induction process going. And it was definitely like contractions. It just wasn't like the active labor contractions. So it was like really uncomfortable. So when I'd be at home, I'd want to lie down. I can still talk through them, but they were very uncomfortable. And they would come say like, every 9-10 minutes. Sometimes they're a little bit later, sometimes a little bit shorter. And basically in that sense, the goal was to either have like my mucus plug break or release, as well as obviously going into natural labor, which it did not. So now I'm actually going to insert parts of my second day of induction, because I was trying to film in my vlog like the whole process, but when I actually got into serious active labor, I could not think of filming or bringing up my camera. Like I had to have my eyes closed. It was just, there was no way I was going to be filming. And then Daniel, he's not the most like tech savvy guy, which is my husband. So I was like, I wasn't going to bug him to do it, because he was in the process of helping me, which I'll get into in a moment. So let me just insert part of the day 2 of my induction, when I went back to the hospital to get my water broke and all of those processes leading up to the delivery of my son. So I will see you guys back in a moment. So I just had a contraction. The Foley, the balloon, they took out, and I lost my mucus plug overnight. So we're 3 or 4 centimeters dilated. My BP looks good, checking the baby, and then I think we're going to another room for potentially getting my water broken and for the next stages of the induction. So this baby is still pretty cozy in there. Monitors and the daddy to be. Listen to that heartbeat, eh?
Gonna turn on these lights, gonna be like showtime.
I know, look at the size of these lights. Oh my gosh. The baby's moving right now, so the heart rate's going up. Can you hear it? It's really pumping now when it's moving around. So they let us out of the hospital for
Jailbreak!
Yeah, we have an hour and an hour, and then we got to be back at the hospital at 1 o'clock so that we get admitted in our room, which is where we're going to be, unload our bags, get all situated. So we're at Longo's
To get some lunch.
Yeah, we got to get some lunch, fuel up, and then back to the hospital. Woo! This guy loves pushing the cart. Hey, Daniel?
I don't see any water.
heading back to the hospital, had a little lunch. And the mister got his fave on a special occasion.
Got myself a little bit of caramel macchiato, a little bit of diabetes in a cup. Ready to go, special occasion.
Love it. Heading back.
That's it.
So we're just walking around the hospital because the doc just broke my water like 15 minutes ago. And there's a lot of water that came out. And now I have them all potted up because...
And I took her to the pool so she can watch people swim in the water.
Yeah, because there's a community center. We'll show you in a sec. But we're just trying to kill time now because they're getting our room ready. And it's been a busy morning here. Lots of people having babies. Lots of action going on here. So anyways.
Action packed.
We'll keep updating you guys along. It's what, 2:15 now p.m.?
2:16.
2:16 on June 24th. So the hospital is attached to a community center. So we're checking out everyone doing their swimming, rehab work. There's a big water slide for the kids. Little splash pad, I think, there. So now it's just more waiting and walking and working through these contractions. Basically, after I finished filming that last clip, I was in major active labor and I couldn't even focus. It was absolutely an incredible experience aside from initially getting into my room. There was an emergency C-section that day and a lot of ladies were getting induced the day before, which is the day I first got induced and the day of my son's delivery date. So it was like really busy. There wasn't any rooms. There was like no nurses on staff because they were helping the mom who had an emergency C-section, which was totally understandable. But I was just like, oh my God, I just need to get into a room because you're walking the hallways and you're starting to get, you know, active contractions and it is like very uncomfortable walking and dealing with that. And Daniel was so wonderful. He was pressing against my hips to relieve some pressure. And essentially what happened was once I had my water broke, which was not painful at all either, just for the ladies and the moms that are curious, they basically stick like a little like crochet hook looking gadget inside you. And then it just basically pricks obviously your uterus, your water, and it just kind of breaks everything. And then the gushing of water comes out. I couldn't believe how much liquid and fluids were coming out. It was crazy. And then they do provide you with like lots of pads. And I did pack a bunch in my hospital bag because you'll be leaking consistently. And through every contraction, it would kind of press and push more water out. Once I broke my water, I had some contractions. They were very uncomfortable, definitely way worse than when I had the Foley balloon inside me the day before, but I could still like make it through because I had a bit more time between them. So say between like 3 to 5 minutes. Sometimes they were 7 minutes, sometimes they were 2 minutes, but they were definitely like consistent and I couldn't talk. I had to like focus through them. And I was really putting on a strong, brave face when I was filming because they were starting to get really intense. But of course I wanted to just be really strong for my video and for myself because filming was helping me stay just kind of like mindful and just like not thinking about the discomfort. So anyway, so once they started getting really bad, we went back to the front desk at labor and delivery to see if my room was free and available, and it still wasn't. So basically for 3.5 hours, we were walking the hallways of the hospital, working through the contractions. Daniel was so amazing. My husband was pressing against my hips and that really relieved a lot of pressure. Still uncomfortable, but definitely helped. So definitely ladies, if you are having a baby, I definitely recommend having your partner or your husband press against your hips just to help relieve a little bit of tension. So basically after those video clips finished that I just showed you and the labor was more consistent, we couldn't get into our rooms. We just did our best through the hallways. I was like bracing against the walls or like the ledges of the windows to like breathe through it while Daniel held my hips. We were doing them in like the lobby, like in the chairs. It was really intense and I just wanted my room. So anyways, fast forward, we finally got into a room like 3 hours later. And now at this point, my contractions were coming basically every like minute to 90 seconds and they were lasting a good minute to 90 seconds. Like it was intense. And I'm like, oh my gosh, please let me be more dilated because the Foley balloon only got me dilated to say like 2 centimeters. And then my mucus plug broke obviously or released. And then when I had the water get broken for myself, I was still sticking at 3 or 4 centimeters for so long. I was just like, oh my gosh. So during my labor, I finally got in the room. I had the most amazing nurse. And I got one of the stability balls. They give you the peanut ball, the stability ball, and I just would bounce on the ball. And then one of my girlfriends recommended a really great tip that helped her through her labor and delivery experiences, which was, you know, like a horse goes, so she said, make that noise. She's like, I know it sounds funny, but it really helps. And so I tried it and oh my God, it really did help like distract me mentally through the contractions as well as the bouncing. And through that, you know, my water kept breaking through the contractions. Like it kept releasing more water. It was just like, I was leaking from everywhere. I just couldn't believe how much fluid comes out. So anyways, I was going through this for another, say 2-3 hours. So say we're now at 6 hours of labor, active labor, really intense. And I'm like, okay, let's just check my cervix. Hopefully I'm like farther along, because my goal was to do it natural and not have an epidural and see how far I can go and be brave. But I wasn't also gonna avoid an epidural if I really needed it. So I was open to it, but I wanted to try my best to be as natural as possible, just because that's my vibe. I'm very holistic, and I wanted to see what I could do just with my own mindset and just, experience labor for the first time in real time. Anywho, so then when she checked me again, I was still at 4 centimeters. I basically was stuck at 4 centimeters for just around 3 hours. And I told my husband, I was just like, I could get through the contractions, but if it's gonna take me another 6, 7, 8 hours to get from 4 centimeters to 10 centimeters, like I'm gonna be so mentally exhausted. I'm gonna have no energy to do any pushing. So at that point, I did get the epidural. I did ask for the anesthesiologist to come, just because I didn't wanna miss the cutoff when they were busy doing other things, and then it delayed it even longer. Anyways, through that, I did ask to have everything very mild, just because I don't take any medicine. I don't take Advil. Like, I'm very just au naturel. So my body does absorb and does react to things really easily, because I don't take any medicine ever, unless I really need it, of course. So they did give me like a low grade epidural, and then they did provide also oxytocin, which I did ask as well to give me a very low amount, just because I didn't want to get nauseous from it, which I have heard from other people. And then I also didn't want it to delay my contractions, which would then regress my labor, which obviously has its own complications, which can lead to a C-section. I just wanted to avoid all of that. So through that, they gave the epidural, amazing anesthesiologist, no discomfort, perfect, like it was flawless. Like I was like, oh my gosh, this is wonderful. And the relief was just wonderful too. And then obviously they gave me the low grade dose of oxytocin. So then I finally was able to just have a little bit of a rest, just because again, I was like almost 6 hours of active labor, and then a whole day previous of like, mild labor, of course. So I was just really tired. And through all of that, I told my husband, we were just chilling in the room. I was kind of having a little power nap. I said, I started to feel like really intense pressure. So basically the epidural, I could still lift my hips. I can lift my feet. It was just numb just around my pelvic and obviously reproductive area. And I told my husband that I must be now at least 8 centimeters dilated. So I asked the nurse, I'm like, oh, can you check me next time you come through? She's like, okay, for sure. So basically this was an hour later. So she checked me and I was already at 10 centimeters. She's like, Abby, you're already at 10 centimeters. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I spent all that time for 6 hours in active labor, staying and stuck at 4 centimeters. And then in 1 hour, after having that mild epidural and the oxytocin, I bumped from 4 centimeters to 10, and I was ready to start pushing. So this was around 11 p.m. She called my doctor, who was wonderful. And she told me before, obviously taking the epidural, that she was gonna go home, have dinner, and then most likely she'll get the call and then she'll come back. So I really appreciated that. I wanna get her some flowers during my 6-week appointment, just to thank her for everything. And so then, it's 11 o'clock, 11:30, something around that time. She calls the doctor, she comes in, and she's like, okay, we're gonna start pushing. So I didn't know this, maybe I just didn't research enough, but basically they want you to kind of be able to feel your contractions, even if you have an epidural, so that you're able to help push through it with your body. So I could still feel the pressure and when they were coming. So I would tell the nurse, okay, I'm getting a contraction. She would confirm it on the computer, because they have like a paper which like the graphs, and it shows you if the contractions are coming, when they're peaking, all of that. Just because a contraction is definitely like, it escalates, it peaks, and then it comes down, just for those that aren't familiar with what a contraction is kind of, built around, or what it is. And so anyway, so when I said, okay, I feel the contraction coming, they'd prop me up, they'd put me in different positions, and then I would basically inhale for 4 inhale beats and then exhale for 10. And that was the hardest, because when you're pushing at 10 exhales, like you feel like your head's gonna blow up. And I was just like, oh my gosh, here come the hemorrhoids. For those that deal with hemorrhoids, And so I was like, wow, okay, so here we go. So the pushing lasted for about an hour and a half. And at certain points, the baby was just like, basically you push and then it goes back in like a turtle effect. So basically your contraction, you push and then it retracts. So it's kind of building this up and down motion until it comes down the canal. Anywho, long story short, finally we get an hour and a half. The baby at one point was not wanting to come fully down. So they said that we might have had to have used forceps, which I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do that. But whatever is meant to be and is the safest for the baby, of course, I'm open to that. But anyways, it didn't end up happening. I managed to get some good pushing and my contractions flowed, and then he was born. So it was all natural vaginal labor. I did tear. I got a 2nd-degree tear, which required stitches and a lot of hemorrhoids. I've never experienced such discomfort in my private area ever in my life, but it was totally worth it. And thank God I had the epidural, because when I was watching her stitch me up, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, thank goodness I have some numbing down there, because I can't even imagine what this would feel like if I didn't have that epidural. And they did try to do lots of techniques to help like my perineal just be a little bit more like lubricated and open and massaged. But unfortunately, my son does have a big head. He was very long. He was 20.8 inches, basically 21 inches. And just unfortunately tore me on the way out, which I know is very common, especially with your first. And the healing process finally is relief. I still have another few weeks to go before I have my checkup to see if everything's dissolved, but it is definitely a process of healing. And I'm just gonna insert just some like little moments from the second half of my active labor that is part of this amazing story of my wonderful son Alessandro's birth. So I will insert the cries and just some amazing little moments here.
You're there.
Hey, push.
Push.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
9:22. Oh, I know the parts, Daddy. Come on, you can do this. What we got?
I got no words.
Boy! He's a boy!
Abby.
And then give him the stretch of the second. And do the second.
Labor, they did manipulate how I would have my legs and my pelvis was aligned. So I did like the peanut ball on my side. I did like, the regular typical like legs to the side and hips up and just open, not hips up, but like just, angled open and up with your body, and just different positions to help the baby also move down. Deep breathing and core work and practicing your breath work prior to your labor and delivery is so important, which is why I incorporated a ton of that in my Pregnancy Fit program, which I will link above as well as down below. And all of those workouts, all the breathing, core work, pelvic floor, all of that prepared me so well for my labor and delivery, and my recovery so far for my body has been amazing. I will go into that at the end of, how much weight I've gained, what I've lost so far, all of that. So just stay tuned for that in a moment. So some other little details to add to my birth story that are very commonly asked are, I did wait until my umbilical cord was completely white. So I asked my doctor to wait 5 minutes. Just from my own research, some people say you have to wait like 20 minutes, 30 minutes for it to go white. Mine fully white by 5 minutes. And then my husband cut the cord. We were considering doing like the stem cell retrieval and saving our, placenta and all the different things. But just with everything, I just like, let's just get all the iron to the baby and just cut it off from there. Just because with our own research, the stem cell development wasn't going to provide what we personally thought it would provide if we were to freeze it and have all that. So because of that, I just decided to just give the baby everything and just wait till the cord goes white, and then that's it. So I was quite surprised to see how thick and large the umbilical cord was. Like, I've never obviously seen one in real life, so it was pretty surreal to see one that my body had grown and developed. And it was pure white after 5 minutes. So if you're unsure of how long to wait, if you do want to wait as well before they cut the umbilical cord, because most hospitals will cut it after 30 seconds, max a minute, unless you specify what you personally want in your birth plan for that part of your labor and delivery. So just be very explicit and detailed if that is something that matters to you. And then after that, they just do monitor to see that the jaundice of the baby is diminishing, which my son had no issues. He latched really well, so his urinations and poops, everything was good and was just helping flush out everything. And then everything settled really quickly with him just being jaundice free. And I didn't realize that all babies have certain tiers of jaundice. I didn't realize that. And so anyways, everything was good, smooth, no issues. Some other little points that are details that you want to consider, at least in Canadian healthcare and our system here, is they do specify if you want the eye ointment on your baby upon delivery, as well as a vitamin K shot. So if you want to opt out of those two things, you have to sign off on some forms. You have to just say that basically you're not going to make any doctors liable if there's any issues, and you just sign off and away you go. So I know I'm all over the map. I'm just trying to be really raw and real and just share exactly what's coming to mind and just being really transparent with you guys and just in the moment. I'm trying to think if there's any other details that I've missed. My son was born at 1:09 a.m. after an hour and a half of pushing. So with the 2nd degree tear, post-care is so crucial. I've never seen my private area so swollen in my life. I was just like, oh my God. Anyways, I got through it, and the recovery, honestly, that was harder than dealing with the baby. Was just like sitting down, finding comfortable positions, going to the bathroom. Like that first like urination and poop is like, oh my gosh. And even for like 2 weeks after, it was still uncomfortable, and you have to really like mentally relax and focus to be able to actually go and feel like relief. So I'm already feeling, obviously I don't have any discomfort, it's still swollen. I can still feel it when you're having a shower. But my 6-week appointment is when everything is supposed to be fully healed, the stitch is dissolved, and my doctor will obviously check and make sure everything's healed well. But I think everything is going really well. Hemorrhoids are gone. Unfortunately, I did get those. I did not poop during my labor. The coolest thing is that your body does really like get everything out before your labor and delivery. So I know there's like that myth of your body almost doing like a cleanse. So the day I had that Foley balloon, I could not stop going number 2. I know this is probably TMI, but just to be really open for the other moms about to have their babies and other women, just to give you knowledge. And it just, everything was leaving me. So by the time I actually was in labor and delivery, like nothing, no sensations at all were coming from that side of it. But just unfortunately with the pushing, I did get some hemorrhoids, which yay for me. If you know, hemorrhoids are the worst. If you've never experienced them, you are just, wow, amazing. I'm so happy for you. But if you do deal with hemorrhoids, pregnant or not, you guys know they are the worst. So some things that I do recommend that I did include in my hospital bag video, which I will link above for you, are the tuck pads. Those are phenomenal. They're like witch hazel soaked pads. This perennial spray from Earth Mama, amazing. I'll link it down below as well for you guys. The little pads that you can put in the freezer, amazing. The one product that I was really disappointed in was, I think it's like Freedom Mom, I think the brand, but it's the ones where you like shake this pack and it's supposed to be cooling, and then you can put that pad in your disposable underwear. That was like the worst. It didn't even do anything. So don't even waste your money. Don't even buy those. They were terrible. Just get those little ice packs that are meant to just be put in the freezer. I'd wrap them in like paper towel or something soft and then put them in my disposable underwear just to really cool everything, because cooling is what's going to bring the inflammation down. And I was doing that constantly every single day, 2 to 3 times a day. Wash them, dry them, put them back in a Ziploc, put them in the freezer to cool again. Add the witch hazel spray, the tuck pads, just anything that's going to cool and give you just that cooling relief. And then obviously I was taking my vitamin C, magnesium, and zinc to help as well with anti-inflammatory properties. And I will list all of the supplements I personally have been using down below as well. So for the mamas who are also on their pregnancy journey and about to have their babies, you will be bleeding after your labor and delivery for, they say, up to 6 weeks. I'm currently a month postpartum, and by the time this video goes live, and I'm still bleeding, needing to wear a pad. Definitely was more extreme at the beginning, of course, and then it does taper down, but you will be wearing pads for a while, which I cannot wait to be done that. Oh my gosh, and just be like free from all of that. But again, it's part of the process, and us ladies are so strong to be going through all these different uncomfortable moments and healing. So for those that like the little details, I did gain 37 pounds in my pregnancy, and in the first 2 weeks postpartum, I lost 27 pounds. So basically around 10 pounds left to lose to be in my pre-pregnancy weight. Now, I am not in a rush to lose the weight. I'm very much feeling my body to be really beneficial for my breastfeeding journey, to give my son everything he needs, and to support my body on my recovery, because the better you recover, then when you get clearance, at your 6-week appointment, everything's good, then you can, go back into your regime. And I do really preface the fact that all the training and mobility work and stretching and pelvic floor work, core work, breath work, all the strength training I did during my pregnancy. If you've been following me on Instagram and TikTok, you would have seen, as well as in my Pregnancy Fit program that I created for all of us pregnant mamas. Well, no longer myself, but I will be using those workouts again when I have, hopefully in the future, more children. So my camera is about to die, guys. I just want to say thank you so much for making it to the end of this video and for listening to my birth story. If you've made it all the way to this point, and for all your love and support, it means so much to me. I can't wait to share more of my postpartum journey here on my YouTube channel, so make sure you are subscribed. And of course, all my socials will be updated as well. And on that note, guys, have a wonderful day, night, whenever you're watching this video. I love you, and I will see you in my next video. Mwah. Bye.